I am Beardmohbox. This is the series where I predict this year's rookie ratings, usually covering the first 4 picks per team, and this week we're looking at the NFC South. As always, we go in order of the division standings, and that means we begin with the Carolina Panthers. People seem to be writing them off already, which I really don't understand, but I do think the division will be a lot more competitive this year. Round 1, Vernon Butler, defensive tackle, Louisiana Tech. The rich get richer. Already boasting one of the best front sevens in the league, the Panthers added a guy who can make a big impact as a rotational player and future starter. I wanted to say something maybe a little bit lower than 77, but the number just sounds right for him. Round 2, James Bradberry, cornerback, Samford. How good a selection players were is kind of irrelevant in this discussion. There's nothing that says this guy will be huge, but there's also nothing that says he'll be a bust. I'm happy to admit I have no expectations for him at this point. I'm just interested to see how it plays out. I can't see him being rated far off 71. Round 3, Daryl Worley, cornerback, West Virginia. He's got great ball skills, and Carolina's scheme means there shouldn't be too much emphasis on his ability to keep up with receivers down the field or during layered routes. Who knows, this could really work out. As for a rookie rating, I don't think it will be as optimistic, around 68. Round 5, Zack Sanchez, cornerback, Oklahoma. I'm not saying he's the most promising of the 3, but Sanchez might have the best looking college resume with 15 interceptions in 3 years. He does have a lack of size, and that can often cost you in the ratings. That and the fact he's a late round guy anyway makes me think he'll be around 64. On to the Atlanta Falcons. Round 1, Keanu, Neal, strong safety, Florida. The biggest worry about Neal isn't his ability, it's whether he will start making smart decisions about when he tries to lay down the hammer on guys, both for his durability and because always going big led to 15 broken or missed tackles last year. If you ask me, it's a good problem to have, and in that regard, his ceiling is Cam Chancellor and his floor is Bob Sanders. I'd have him at 78, Madden might put him down at 76. Round 2, Deion Jones, outside linebacker, LSU. Jones entered the draft as an outside linebacker, but is now looking like the Falcons' starting inside linebacker, playing there for the first team throughout minicamp. He showed absolutely insane speed at the combine for his position and has since put on some good weight, all of this leading to him being talked about as a potential Defensive Rookie of the Year candidate in the slow-moving news cycle that is minicamp, so take that with a pinch of salt. 74-75 seems fair considering a slight position change for him. Round 3, Austin Hooper, tight end, Stanford. Jacob Tamme didn't play badly last season, but the Hooper pick makes a ton of sense and could be a very good one. You don't need and can't always have a superstar in every position. Most of the time a solid starter is all you need, and Hooper could be just that. He might come in with a 72 rating. Round 4, Devondre Campbell, outside linebacker, Minnesota. Campbell has been practicing with the first team too on the weak side, which is a double dose of good news. 1, the Falcons clearly have faith in Campbell, and 2, Vic Beasley will most likely now stay at defensive end, despite still being listed as an outside linebacker on the team's website. I can't see him going over 70, but at the same time that's kind of low for a starter. Onto the New Orleans Saints, who only had 5 total picks. Round 1, Sheldon Rankins, defensive tackle, Louisville. It's crazy how deep this defensive tackle class was, and Rankins was one of the premier guys, and it's a good scheme fit too. His game's not flawless, and that's not a problem, and I see him getting rated right under 80 at 78-79. Round 2, Michael Thomas, wide receiver, Ohio State. Thomas was drafted to replace probably the most underrated player of this generation in Marquise Colston. 250 yards shy of 10,000 career receiving yards, and he never made it to 1 Pro Bowl. Thomas looks like a decent replacement even if he is a little smaller, and he could get a 73 rating. Round 2, Vonn Bell, free safety, Ohio State. I don't fully get this pick considering the Saints had plenty of needs to fill, with both safeties being one of the few positions that was fine. That doesn't make this a bad pick though, and it is solid insurance for Jarius Byrd. A very solid player, we're probably looking at around a 75 here. Round 4, David Onyemata, defensive tackle, Manitoba. Sometimes you just take a giant 6'4", 300-pound guy with little experience to see what happens. A bit risky for a team with plenty of holes on defense, but if you don't buy a ticket, you can't win the lottery. For as raw as he is, 67 could even be a bit more than what Madden decides he's worth. On to the final team in the division, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Round 1, Vernon Hargreaves, cornerback, Florida. Hargreaves, in my opinion, was the next best guy after Jalen Ramsey, and the Bucs managed to snag him whilst getting some extra picks too. I think he'll have the second highest rating for a corner despite being the third one taken, and should be rated at 77. Round 2, Noah Spence, defensive end, Eastern Kentucky. You've got to worry a little bit about his off-field issues, but plenty of players have overcome stuff like that recently, and regardless, it doesn't affect his rating. It's a slight scheme mismatch here, as Spence would best fit as a 3-4 linebacker, but it will be interesting to see if the Bucs switch to some more 3-4 fronts this season. Lavonte David for sure has enough talent to adapt, and it could help with their pass rush issues. I worry playing as an end could affect his rating, but he should still be around 73. Round 2, Roberto Aguayo, kicker, Florida State. Believe it or not, I have an actual cause of concern for Aguayo that isn't just that he's a kicker taken in the second round. He's got an impeccable record. He's never missed a field goal under 40 yards, as well as never missing an extra point. However, his record over 40 is only 70%, and field goals over 40 yards accounted for 45% of Tampa Bay's attempts last year. Last season, he was 50% over 40, and that is exactly the same number as the Buccaneers were last season, so in that regard, he offers no improvement. But this is just me playing devil's advocate. He's extremely accurate and serves a purpose as a tackler on special teams as well. He could be in the mid-80s and shouldn't be lower than 81. Round 4, Ryan Smith, cornerback, NCCU. He's a very good tackler, racking up 168 in his college career. That, along with his size, could see him working out well in the slot. 68 should probably be right around what he ends up at. So that is it with the NFC South, which had some odd but not necessarily bad choices for sure. Next week will be the final one as we cover the last division, the NFC West.